Max never questioned his friendship with Jake. It had always been simple, effortless. From childhood bike races to late-night gaming marathons, they had been inseparable. They shared inside jokes no one else understood. Their lockers were side by side, and on the soccer field, they moved as if reading each other's minds. But lately, something felt different. Max couldn't pinpoint when it started. Maybe it was the way Jake's hand lingered a second too long on his shoulder after a big win, or how their playful shoves during practice had grown into something heavier, charged with an energy Max didn't quite understand. He brushed it off. Why overthink things? They were just best friends. Nothing had changed. At least that's what he told himself. That night, after a grueling match, the locker room was nearly empty. The damp air smelled of sweat and victory. The team had filtered out, but Max and Jake lingered, as they often did, exchanging half-hearted insults as they peeled off their jerseys. Jake leaned against his locker, smirking. "You still owe me dinner for that assist." Max scoffed. "Please, I carried you all game. If anything, you should be paying me." Jake laughed, rolling his eyes. Then, in an instant, the moment shifted. The laughter faded. The air between them thickened, as if the walls had pressed closer. Max noticed the way Jake's eyes searched his, hesitating. It was such a small change, barely noticeable, but it made Max's heart stutter. Before he could process it, Jake closed the distance. The kiss wasn't long. It wasn't planned. It was a whisper of a moment, fleeting yet earth-shattering. Max froze. His brain short-circuited. By the time he registered what was happening, Jake had already pulled away, searching his face for a reaction. Panic flooded Max's chest. He let out a nervous laugh. Too loud, too forced. "Ha! Good one, dude." He shoved Jake's shoulder playfully, as if they were just messing around, as if his hands weren't shaking. "You almost got me." Jake's expression flickered, something between amusement and something more unreadable. But he didn't push. Instead, he gave a half-smile, grabbed his duffel bag, and left without another word. Max stood there, staring at the door long after Jake had disappeared. The locker room felt different now. Colder, quieter, as if something essential had shifted in the universe. And for the first time in their friendship, Max didn't know what to do next. Max wasn't avoiding Jake. Not really. He just happened to take the long way to class. And maybe he suddenly developed an intense interest in talking to the coach after practice every single day. And okay, sure, he might have forgotten his locker combination once or twice, forcing himself to stand there fumbling while Jake waited nearby. But that wasn't avoidance. That was strategy. At least that's what he told himself. But the truth gnawed at him. The kiss, if that's what it even was, had been stuck on replay in his mind. He told himself it didn't mean anything. Just a weird moment. A joke, maybe. A mistake. But then why did his stomach drop every time he thought about it? Why did he feel like the ground beneath him had shifted? And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find his balance. Jake, on the other hand, was impossible to read. He acted completely normal, like nothing had happened. He still cracked jokes, still tossed wadded-up paper at Max's head in class, still yelled his name across the cafeteria like an idiot. Was Max the only one spiraling? "Dude, what is your problem?" Max snapped out of his daze to find their teammate, Eli, staring at him over lunch. "What? You're acting weird," Eli said, raising an eyebrow. "You and Jake have some lover's quarrel or something?" Max nearly choked on his drink. "What? No, why would you even?" Eli shrugged. "I dunno. You guys are basically a married couple. If you broke up, we deserve to know." Max forced a laugh, but it felt unnatural, stiff. His face burned. He could feel Jake's eyes on him from across the table, but he refused to look up. He needed to fix this. He needed to act normal. So that afternoon he took a deep breath and tried. He went to his locker without hesitation. He stood next to Jake at practice. He even forced himself to joke around like usual. It was fine. He was fine. Everything was fine. Until Jake cornered him after practice. "You gonna keep avoiding me forever?" Jake asked, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. Max swallowed hard. What? I'm not. Jake tilted his head, unimpressed. Max rubbed the back of his neck, heart pounding. Look, I just... He hesitated, words tangling in his throat. I don't know what you want me to say. Jake's expression softened, but his voice was steady. Just be honest. Max couldn't, because if he was honest, if he really said what was swirling inside his chest, everything would change. And he wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Max wished he had an escape plan. Standing in the dimly lit hallway outside the locker room, he felt trapped, pinned under the weight of Jake's steady gaze. The usual ease between them was gone, replaced by something heavier, something raw. Max, Jake said, quieter this time. Just talk to me. Max's instinct was to deflect, to crack a joke, to pretend none of this was happening. But he couldn't, not with Jake looking at him like that. Expectant, patient, but unwilling to let him slip away again. With a sharp exhale, Max ran a hand through his hair. I don't know what you want me to say. Jake crossed his arms, leaning back against the wall. How about the truth? Max let out a hollow laugh. The truth? Fine. The truth is, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know why we... He faltered, his chest tightening. I don't know what you expect from me. Jake's jaw tensed. I don't expect anything. He hesitated, then added, but I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. Max swallowed hard. His pulse was loud in his ears. He wanted to argue, to insist that the kiss was a mistake, that it meant nothing. But the words stuck in his throat, because deep down he knew it wasn't true. Jake shifted, his voice softer now. I've liked you for a while, Max. The air between them felt impossibly still. Max stared at him, unable to speak. He had spent so much time convincing himself that nothing had changed between them, ignoring the way his stomach flipped whenever Jake smiled at him, pushing down the warmth that spread through his chest when they stood too close. And now there was no avoiding it, no running. Jake sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Look, I don't need an answer right now, but I do need you to stop pretending you don't feel something too. Max's heart pounded. His brain screamed at him to say something, anything, but fear kept him frozen. Fear of what this meant. Fear of what would happen next. Jake pushed off the wall, giving him one last look. When you're ready to be honest, you know where to find me. Then he walked away, leaving Max standing there, drowning in the truth he had been too afraid to face. Max had never been good at facing things head-on. He preferred to skate by, make a joke, keep things light. But as he sat alone in his room, staring at the ceiling, he realized there was no joking his way out of this. Jake's words echoed in his head. Stop pretending you don't feel something too. The truth was, Max did feel something. He just hadn't let himself name it. Because if he did, everything would change. But wasn't it already different? Wasn't he already losing Jake by running away? The thought sent a jolt through his chest. He shot up, grabbed his jacket, and bolted out the door. By the time he reached Jake's house, his pulse was hammering. His legs shook, not from the run, but from the weight of what he was about to do. He hesitated for half a second, then knocked. Jake answered almost immediately, like he had been expecting him. His expression was unreadable, but there was something in his eyes. Hope, maybe. Max swallowed hard. I'm done pretending. Jake didn't say anything, just waited. Max took a breath, grounding himself. You were right. I do feel something. I don't know what it means yet. And yeah, I'm scared. But the only thing scarier than figuring this out is losing you. Jake exhaled, a slow smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Took you long enough. Relief flooded through Max, loosening the tension that had been gripping his chest for days. He let out a breathless laugh. Yeah, well, I'm an idiot. Jake chuckled. I won't argue with that. They stood there for a moment, the weight between them shifting into something new, something uncertain, but exciting. Then, Jake reached out, fingers brushing against Max's in a silent question. Max didn't pull away. For the first time in days, maybe even longer, everything felt right. Maybe they didn't have all the answers yet. Maybe they'd screw this up 100 times before they got it right. But for now, Max wasn't running anymore. And that was enough.